Okay, so I'm going to go over your study guide for your trig test. This is a difficult test, so make sure you pay attention to what I'm doing. Remember that this is very similar to the actual test, so if you can't do the study guide, you're likely going to fail the test. So before the due date comes, before you get to the weekend, you can ask me for any help. If you're waiting till Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do this, there is no guarantee I'm actually going to check my phone. Because that's my family time. That's when I put my boundaries up. Alright. So, first topic is trig functions and solving right triangles. So, for 19, 20, and 21, and 22 and 23, we are going to find the missing side or angle measure and round answers to the nearest tenth. So, these are pretty nice. It's just basic trig functions from Math 2 and Math 3. And then we also went over them in Math 4 again. So this is my opposite side, and this is my adjacent side. So I need to be using tangent. So the tangent of the angle equals 23 over x, because that's opposite over adjacent. Remember that when x is being divided, we would multiply both sides by x. And then the last thing we would do is divide both sides by tan 64. So here's what you would type in your calculator. Not that. Try again. 23 divided by tan 64. Make sure your calculator's in degree mode or you're going to get the wrong answer. The answer is 11.2. And if I tell you to round to the nearest tenth, make sure you actually do that, because if you type in extra numbers, you're incorrect. Number 20. So this is my adjacent side, and this is my hypotenuse. So I need to be using cosine. The cosine of the angle equals 24 over 37. Remember, when I'm finding an angle, that's when I would use the inverted cosine. So just a different button, but you get the same thing. And you should get 49.6. Next one. So I have my opposite and my hypotenuse. So once again, for the first time, I'm using the sine. So sine 22 equals x over 19. And to get rid of dividing by 19, I would multiply. And when I put that in the calculator, I get 7.1. Alright, so number 22 and number 23, you don't have a picture. So the first thing I want you to do is draw a little diagram. So pause the video and try that in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for 22, I have my adjacent and my hypotenuse. So I need to be using cosine. So cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Because I'm trying to find an angle measure, that's when I use my inverted cosine. And so when I do this, I should get 55.5. Okay, and for 23, a little bit difficult to draw the picture. This one's kind of tough. So we're looking for, determine the distance shareable travel between viewings. So we're trying to find x and y, and then we are going to do something with those. Just realize that this is one of those where you have to convert coordinates, and we're not doing that in Math 4. So we're going to skip this one. Alright. Okay, so let's look at 24. Okay, so if it doesn't give you a picture, the easiest thing to do is draw a little picture. So the point 2, negative 11, I don't know, we'll say it's somewhere down here. So you go over 2 and down 11. Obviously not drawing the scale. That's horrible. My bad. Okay. Remember, that's my radius. So if I do 2 squared plus 11 squared, it has to equal r squared, just using Pythagorean theorem. So we get 125 equals r. Remember, I'm going to write this as a perfect square. So the square root of 25 is 5, and I can't take the square root of 5. So it's actually going to be 5 square root of 5. Okay, so this is x, this is y, and now I know that my radius is 5 square root of 5. So think about angle theta being right here. So sine is opposite over adjacent. So opposite is negative 11 over, not opposite over adjacent, opposite over hypotenuse. 5 square root of 5. Remember, we can't do that. We'll have to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 5. And we'll get negative 11 square root of 5 over 25. So for cosine, that's my adjacent over my hypotenuse. So 2 over square root of 5. Can't have a radical on the bottom. If I multiply the top and bottom by 5, I get 2 square root of 5 over 25. Tangent is my opposite over adjacent, so negative 11 over 2. Cosecant, remember, you just flip it. So I'm going to do the original. Alright, for secant, you just flip it. I'm going to do the original, flip, and then for tangent, flip. So that's not too bad. Alright, so for 25, I'm going to draw a picture. Here's my theta. Remember, this is adjacent over hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse is 7, and my adjacent is 6. And I can do Pythagorean theorem really quickly, and I get the square root of 13. So it doesn't really matter which one you make negative. It's kind of up to you. So the sine is going to be 13 over 7. Cosine will be negative 6 over 7. Tangent will be square root of 13 over 6. Alright, and then remember, when we flip the fraction, we can't have a radical on the bottom. So I'm going to assume that you know how to do that, since I already went over it in a video. And it's basic math skills. So when I flip and I get rid of radicals on the bottom, these are the answers I should get. You have to know how to do this before you take the test. If you still don't, you have to come ask me for help. Okay. So remember, when we were finding the reference angle, we went to like the next big angle. So my reference angle, the next big one will be 180. 180 minus 164 is 16. Alright. If I go to my next big one, get 79. This would be pi over 4. And this one will be 4 pi over 9. If any of that confuses you, go back to the video where we found reference angles and watch it again. Okay, so then for the next ones, we're going to give the exact values of each trig function. You can use your calculator if you need to. And you can always, if these are multiple choice or matching, you can put this in your calculator and get a decimal, but you should get the square root of 3 over 2. The next one, negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. 32 square root of 2 over 2. And 33 square root of 3. If that confuses you, go back and watch the video that I already made for you, that you took notes on. Go back and study that stuff. Put some work into it. Okay. We also did law of sines and law of cosines. So I'm going to call this x, and I'm going to call this y. So if I wanted to find x, I would use the law of cosines. Oh, it's 21, I forgot. Alright, and I would get everything to one side. And I would use inverted cosine, and I get 91.7. Okay. So this is 91.7. Next I'm going to find y. So I'm going to use the law of sines. Set it up like this, then you would solve just like we did in videos. If you don't remember it, go back and watch. Remember, you can have this answer, or 180 minus that is 152.7. This one doesn't work because you would have over 180 degrees. So y for angle K is 27.3. And then if I do 180 minus those two angles, I get 61. Alright, so for AC, I need to use the law of cosines again. I ran out of room, sorry. I'm going to get everything to one side. Oh, not everything to one side. I'm just going to put everything in my calculator. This one's easier, sorry. And then I'll take the square root of both sides. So I get 10.5. Okay. For number 36, I'm going to draw a picture. And I need to use the law of sines. So I'm going to set it up. It's a 16. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get everything to one side. And remember, because you're trying to find an angle, you're going to use inverted sine. So it could be 51. And then if I do 180 minus 51, I get 129. And both of those work. So they are both answer choices. And if I ask you on a test, you would have told me both of them. Alright, 37. I'm going to draw a picture really fast. Okay. So I'm going to find x first, because I think it's easier. I'm going to use the law of cosines. So I'm going to set this up really quickly. I'm going to get everything to one side, just like we did in previous videos. You can go back and watch them if you need to. And I'm going to use my inverted cosine, so I get 42 degrees. Alright, and then I'm just going to use trig to find the rest of it. So the sine of 42 is equal to y over 127. If I multiply both sides by 127, I get 85. Alright, moving on. Okay, so here's one. It's difficult, but I would expect you to be able to do this one. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and draw a picture. Okay, so then I'm going to use the law of sines. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get x by itself, just like I have in previous videos. You can go back and watch the videos if you need to. And then to find y, I'm going to do the law of sines again. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get y by itself. Alright, so Tower A is 489 meters away, and Tower B is 575.9 meters away. You can go back and watch videos if you need to. Alright, so let's look at number 39 and number 40. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. It's not going to be on your test. Alright, let's look at graphing, because graphing is a big deal. So, you could put this in Desmos. That's the easiest thing I would tell you to do. I'm not going to put it in Desmos, because all you have to do is type it in. Remember that for sine and cosine, your amplitude is the number in front of sine or cosine, and then your period is 2 pi over b. And then for tangent, you don't have an amplitude, and then your period is pi over b. So knowing that, I'm just going to put the answers down, because you can go back and do this other stuff. Alright, so this one's undefined, and this one's 3 pi over 2. 43, this one's undefined. This one's 3 pi over 4. 44, undefined for amplitude, and the period is pi. You can go back and watch these videos on how to find these if you don't know what you're doing. Alright, so for number 45, we're going to graph it and we're going to find the key features. I'm going to skip graphing it because all you got to do is put it in Desmos. The amplitude is undefined. The period is going to be pi. The phase shift would be right pi, because that's in the parentheses. Your vertical shift will be up 3, which means your midline is y equals 3. If you need further information, go back and watch the video. Alright, we also talked about these identities. So you had quotient identities, you had reciprocal identities, and Pythagorean identities. And then we used them to simplify some problems, which was so fun. And then you had the sign regression. So you can go back and watch the videos if you need to about how to do these. how to do the sign regression. And you can either use like a calculator, like an actual handheld one, or you can use Desmos. So I'm not going to go over this because there was videos to watch. There was stuff to do. It shows you how to do it. If you have extra questions, you've watched the video, you've watched it again, you still don't know how to do this, then come ask me for help if you need to. Good luck with your test. Make sure you don't wait to the last minute to do this. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Bye.